I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between. Using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go.
Welcome to the Grady's.
This is amazing.
Yes.
It's a very special moment for you guys.
Correct.
And for me.
Yes.
Because I'm literally sitting across from you in your office.
This is a true statement. We're fronting like we have a studio. And by a studio, we mean we are plugged in to Ashley's laptop in my office.
Look, don't give away all the secrets.
Okay,
you know, this is a high-level production.
Yes,
we're running
it is.
here.
It is. It is a high-level production.
Man.
A lot of love goes into it.
It's true.
Yeah, so how was your first time visiting the legendary, the matchless Grady Memorial Hospital?
Well, I mean, there's like visiting Grady, and then there's visiting Grady with Grady Doc.
For sure.
And so to have the Dr. Kimberly Manning escort me around, you know, it means a lot knowing that, you know, you've built such an incredible career and identity within this space, and to see the hospital through your eyes is pretty amazing, and to learn a lot about the history.
Yes. What was one of your favorite things you learned?
I mean, actually what we just talked about.
Yeah.
So the history of segregation at Grady Hospital, or the reason it's called the Grady's, is because there were two separate hospitals depending on what color you were. So the black side and the white side.
Right.
And as one can imagine, one side was looking a little bit more raggedy than the other one.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Yeah. But, you know, there's this legendary story of the person for whom our residency program is named, J. Willis Hurst. He was a cardiologist. And there's this story of him, you know, transporting the first patient from one side of the hospital to the other side of the hospital during the desegregation period. So Grady continues to serve a lot of people. Atlanta is a very, very diverse city, and I'm really happy to know that, you know, it doesn't matter what your race is, what your ethnicity is, we do not turn people away. Yeah, that's what makes Grady awesome.
Yeah, well, it just seems like, you know, there's a lot of like kind energy in this space, just like everybody saying hello to each other.
That's
like,
right. That's that Southern playalisticness that we have.
Man.
You know, sounds good. What brings you to the South?
So I actually had a wedding.
Okay.
My first cousin, someone that I grew up with, was excited to go celebrate with her, and also just have all the family there.
Yeah.
But it was in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Okay, Chat.
A place that I have never been before. Actually, I take that back. We, a lot of the family was staying in Chattanooga, but the actual venue was like just over the border in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but beautiful venue.
Okay.
And any seamless travel experience I have,
Yeah.
we're like, you know, get on the plane, flight goes out on time, like got the car, got to the venue on time, like that is always a blessing.
Yeah.
So.
And then you got back to Atlanta in time to hang out with me yesterday.
Yes.
And you got to meet somebody very special.
Yes, I did. It was like a breath-holding moment because we didn't know if he was going to show up.
Because he didn't say no.
Exactly. That was like the hope that we were holding on to.
Yes. He didn't say no. So who did you meet?
I met the matchless Harry Manning.
Yay! Woo, woo, woo.
The BHE.
That's right. The best husband ever, man.
Yes.
So Ashley and I were hanging out, having, you know, a bite and some adult beverages on on a patio, and Harry was nearby bike riding, and I said, "You should stop by. Ashley's in town. You should stop by and say hi." And he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna call you back." And I told Ashley, I was like, he did not say no. He did not say no. Normally, if he was not going to come, this is how this would have went. "Babe, Ashley's with me. She's in town. You should come by and meet her." Am I on speakerphone? That would have been the first thing he said if he wasn't going to do it. But he didn't even ask if he was on speakerphone. He said, "I'll call you back." And then he rolls up on the bike.
Yeah.
all sweet, pleasant, gave her a big hug.
Yes.
I was like, okay. My introverted husband, I love you.
I felt very, very lucky. And also because I can relate so much to that. It was just like, meeting new people, like that's your friend, like, I give them my best.
Correct.
I ain't got to do any more than that.
He doesn't like me springing people on him or situations. So that's why if he had said, am I on speakerphone? I would have been like, okay, yeah, no, I didn't give him enough notice. But he's like, oh yeah, but I know this morning he's like, yeah, I know she means a lot to you. And I know that that's an important relationship. And it was good to meet her. She seemed cool. Yeah. It's a good thing. Anything new I need to know about besides all your travels?
If you haven't been to Chattanooga, it has my strong endorsement.
Okay.
It was just, it's a small, kind of quaint little city, but I appreciated that. It wasn't like, too much going on, but a nice river passing through. Of course, I can't remember the name of it. Okay. But it was beautiful for a run.
Okay.
So shout out to Chattanooga. Also, as I've been traveling, I've been reading a book by a woman named Polly Murray.
Okay.
Have you heard of this person?
No.
I hadn't either, which is like, it's one of those people where it's just like, wow, how do I not know who this is?
Right.
Amanda, my best friend.
Shout out to Amanda.
Shout out to Amanda. Her dad actually got this book for me when I saw him in Chicago. So just real quick, because you all are going to look this up later, I'm sure. So Polly Murray wrote a memoir called A Song in a Weary Throat.
Okay.
But she is a black woman who came of age like right around the Great Depression, and ended up going to law school at Howard, and was very instrumental in like writing some of the arguments around the Brown versus Board of Education case.
Okay.
Was just like an incredible civil rights, social justice advocate, and was just like very honest. And one of the things that's striking in her memoirs is how she talks about her struggles with gender identity. And I think it's one of those situations where it's just like, dang, if she had been born at another time, this is someone who may have been more gender fluid, right, but still had the courage to love who she loved, was partnered with a woman throughout most of her life, and it's just really, really inspiring.
Wow,
so
that's dope. And what is the book called?
A Song in a Weary Throat.
A Song in a Weary Throat.
Yes.
This is a good title. It makes me like intrigued.
I know. I got it in my bag. I'll show it to you.
Yes, you will. I'm sure. Yeah, I was pointing out all the green spaces for Ashley to sit under a tree and read a book. So if y'all see her in the A sitting under a tree,
that'll be me.
It's okay. She's safe. She wants to be there. Okay, so I this is like, you're always prepared and I'm not prepared. So this is like a half-baked recommendation because I can't remember all the details of it.
That's okay.
But you know what? That's just reality.
I know. And this is like a live recording.
And we treat this like, people chatting with each other about anything. And plus, you can just search it. Okay. So you've ever heard of the book, The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins?
No.
Okay. So Mel Robbins authored this book called The Let Them Theory. It's really, it's not what I'm about to recommend, but that book is good. And it's just the too long didn't read version of it is, instead of you always wanting to change people into what you want them to be, or you always feeling like you need to be like reactive to everybody else, instead, like, let people be who they're going to be. Let them.
Wow.
So, like, for example, if you have, a party and you invited 5 people to hang out with you at this party, and I wasn't one of the people you invited, I should let you do that. This doesn't necessarily have to become a defining moment about me where I eat up a bunch of my energy thinking about, what does this mean, or why did you leave me out? Maybe you have 5 seats. Maybe I would have been the 6th person. Maybe not, but either way, let them. So that's what her whole book is about. And so she also has a podcast. And on her podcast, fairly recently, she had a psychologist who is an expert in people who are sort of emerging into adulthood, 20-somethings. The author, unfortunately, of that psychologist, I cannot remember her name, but it's on Mel Robbins' podcast. If you put in Mel Robbins' podcast, getting through your 20s, you will find it. It was so eye-opening. There were so many pearls about understanding your 20s, which resonated for me a lot because I'm in my 50s.
Yeah.
And I'm coming up on 55. And one of the things, just a few things she said. One is the 20s is not your best decade. You might look your cutest. You might have the least need for Botox. But you broke and you're uncertain, and a lot of stuff is like you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
There's that. The other thing she talks about is how many people get college wrong and not understanding college as a time to build identity capital and to grow and to have experiences, and how if you don't understand that, you'll come out of college and be as lost as you were going into college. And I have one of my kids is 20.
Yeah.
You know, one of them is 18 and some change. Just really got me thinking a lot about my emerging adults and also appreciating the decade I'm in, because one thing she also says is with each decade that goes by, you know yourself better. And you know, you will find as you get older, the version of you now is the one you like the most.
Yeah.
That is so true. I've never liked myself more than I like myself now. And I didn't like myself as much when I was 30 even.
Yeah.
Or when I was 25, because it was just so much I was trying to figure out. But I feel like I have a stronger moral compass. I'm able to let them a little more now.
Yeah.
Because I have more evidence of who I am. And that takes time.
Wow.
So yeah, you know, even if I have more wrinkles and my hair is gray and weird and menopausal, yeah.
Not that anybody can tell
No, you
or
can
see
tell.
any wrinkles.
You can tell. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. I look like a 55-year-old black woman because black women be looking good at 55.
Exactly.
And that's okay. I think it's a compliment.
Yeah.
There we go.
I think you look great.
I receive that.
Yes.
I receive that. And can we rapidly give a shout out to Catherine Sorrentino, who does our show notes. She is a whole entire resident working at Emory right now, who has taken this up on her own. And she is very likely to link y'all to this podcast because she does a great job. So, hey, Catherine, shout out to you.
Shout out to Catherine.
Yes. Well, kings, queens, and non-binary royalty. Live and direct from Grady Hospital. You are so fortunate to have the thing you've been waiting for. You had to deal with me last week, and now you have live in person in a tank top with like some muscles too, y'all. Y'all can't see them, but I can. With Mahalia looking good and ready to tell you a great story is none other than Ashley McMullen. Yay! Yay! Cheer, cheer, cheer.
Yes,
woo,
yes. Ooh, thank you, sis. First of all, y'all don't know how badly I wanted to just come in Dr. Manning's office and just kick back and listen to her serenade me with the story, but, you know.
Not gonna happen. The question is, what is the what?
The what is partnership.
Oh, partnership. We have never used that word.
No, I don't believe we have. And particularly, you know, I want to clarify the capacity in which I mean that word.
Okay.
And I was thinking about what it means to at least try to partner with the patients that we care for.
Okay. Everybody was thinking you were about to talk about being booed up.
I know. And let me just go ahead and disappoint you right up front. That is not what this is about.
Spoiler.
Yes. But hopefully there'll be some takeaways here.
Okay.
And in fact, I also have to add the disclaimer that I think there'll be some parallels with the story that you told last week.
Great.
So as I was thinking about this, I was like, dang, Kimberly already made some good points about this.
That's okay. Some things bear repeating. Spaced learning.
Exactly. So, you know, this is a story that takes place my first week of faculty.
Okay.
I'm in the adult medicine clinic at the main VA hospital. Literally, like, I think this is probably maybe my first clinic. I can't remember. So I'm in a situation where I'm meeting all patients for the first time. A lot of folks are patients who are transferring to me from other panels, and then some new faces as well. But I had one veteran in particular who was kind of handed off to me personally. This was a patient that I learned about through our medical director.
Okay.
Because it was a complicated situation.
Okay.
So this is a veteran, very much middle age. I would probably say around 50s.
Okay.
This is someone who I had racial concordance with. It's a male veteran who had not really been engaged in primary care, but unfortunately had come to the VA through our emergency room with some symptoms that turned out to be advanced cancer.
Okay.
In 2 different locations.
Oh, man.
So the prognosis was pretty bad from the start. And this was a couple years before he got to me. And so was linked up immediately into care for the cancer and also was engaged in palliative services from the beginning.
Okay.
He was started on an oral medication. At that point, surgical resection was out of the question. And so it was a kind of a newish therapy that they were going to try.
Okay.
And along with that, he was started on opioid medication for his pain. What happened was that medication for his cancer ended up being way more effective than people anticipated.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The cancer was very quiescent and very responsive. But at the same time, he had been getting all of these opioids. Oh. And so I'm coming onto the scene, kind of reading all this through the chart and kind of interpreting it through the lens of my own experience. But what I believe happened was there was escalation in the opioid prescribing, but his life expectancy got longer. And so at some point people became aware that, now we're dealing probably with an opioid dependency and opioid use disorder, potentially.
Yeah, iatrogenic.
Yes.
That we cause.
Exactly. Within that space, they were prescribing without much monitoring. And then once things started to look problematic, this is not just palliative pain management. Now we're dealing with chronic pain. And so with chronic pain on opioids, for those long-term prescriptions, it requires folks to kind of sign a contract in which they agree to test their urine on a regular basis to make sure there's no other substances on board. And when this patient heard about the, kind of these new restrictions and policies, he got very, very upset. And so decided that, engagement with palliative service was no longer something that he wanted to do. And so they asked for pain management to be shifted to primary care.
Ooh.
And
enter you.
I know.
That sounds terrible.
I know. And so here I am, brand spanking new. And I appreciate the way that this was handed off because, the medical director knew this was a messed up situation to kind of step into. And, I can't say for sure whether they specifically asked me to get involved because of racial concordance, but, it would be impossible to say that that did not play a role in this man's experience.
Okay.
So I had to emotionally prepare myself for all possibilities of how the conversation was going to go. But we met that first day. I spent well over an hour with him in that visit and went over A to Z. This is the situation as far as I understand it.
Right.
I'm sorry for how this played out.
Right.
I know you came into our system expecting one thing, and here we are now.
Right.
It seemed like he was taking it all in. I felt like by the end of the visit, we had built a partnership.
Yeah.
And so I went over kind of the contract with him and just this is why we do what we do. It's not perfect. I don't necessarily like it, but this is kind of the space that we're in order to continue these medications.
Right.
This is what we have to do. And he looked it over, and he was just nobody broke it down like this for me before, and was all in agreement, just okay, we're going to work on this together. Signed the contract, and he was due for a refill that day.
Okay.
And so I was just great, thank you so much. I'm glad we had this visit. If you could just drop your urine at the lab, I'll have the medication ordered for you. So left the visit. I was bet, we in there. I checked the chart the next morning, and I see that he had gotten the medication and did not do the urine test.
Okay.
So I was okay, maybe there was just some miscommunication on my part. And I think that I want to say that it was maybe a 14-day supply. We're still trying to work out some of these things.
Right.
So we kept it a limited supply. And so, before you know it, it's time for
the refill.
And I had to be very explicit, not only with him, but I also wrote it on the prescription bottle and then the notes too. It's do not refill this before the tox screen is done. And he happened to come to clinic to try to get the prescription on a day that I wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And when the results came back, because we didn't release the medication until the results came back, it was positive for illicit substances and actually did not have opioids on there. So double whammy. So at that point, it was just, I can't keep prescribing this.
Right.
And it was just like, and so this is literally like day one.
Wow.
And so I called after clinic one day. I called, and actually it was his partner who picked up the phone, and she was explaining to me that he wasn't feeling well. I could kind of hear him like kind of talking to her, like mumbling in the background. I tried my best to kind of explain my position.
Okay.
And why, you know, we're having to go through this, because in their mind it's just like, he has cancer.
Yeah, y'all just pulled the plug.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it was interesting to kind of feel like we were in a partnership, and now feel like, you know,
Adversaries.
it's us versus them.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like these punitive contracts can set up that type of situation. And at the same time, you know, we have to be safe
Right.
in what we're doing.
Right.
And it was just hard seeing myself in that position so early on. What was interesting about the conversation with his partner was that she was really trying to understand. She was like, why would you do this to him?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to explain the policy, but also like how to gently add in the fact that just like, hey, I think there might be something else going on here.
Right. And maybe you don't know.
Exactly. I didn't know how much she knew, but as I'm talking to her and explaining to all this to her, and I don't know if I'm on speakerphone, I might be at that point, but all of a sudden I hear him in the background, and he's just repeating over and over again, they don't care, they don't care, they don't care. All of that like was like landing in my heart the whole time I'm hearing this, because it was just like, dude, you do not know how much
I care.
I care.
Right.
But that process had begun long before me. And even like reading the notes, I could see like, you know, before things kind of tipped over in terms of the opioid use, like there were just like these pleasant conversations being documented, like where he was just talking about like who he is, what his goals are, and kind of how he wanted to manage the pain, and like, you know, this very clear therapeutic alliance that just like fell apart in a very explosive way. Yeah. And then like the ashes are in my lap. And
like you were punished for surviving.
Exactly. You know, unfortunately, I lost contact with that individual. He did stay in treatment for a while.
Okay.
And so I kept in communication with his oncologist, who's an incredible, dedicated woman. But that feeling of being on the phone and hearing him say that we stopped caring about him was really, it was just like a very visceral memory. And so, you know, now that I'm several years past that, and I've had great conversations around pain management and others that have not gone so well, but, you know, I think that now when I reflect on it, and actually when I teach my students now, you know, one of the key aspects of empathic communication is partnership.
Yeah.
And partnering early on, you know, what the expectations are, what we can do, like how we care, but also we have to operate within these parameters.
Right.
You know, it matters regardless of what you think the prognosis is.
Right.
And so, you know, I always think about that patient when it comes to trying to form an alliance early, and then also just experiences with pain.
Yeah.
It's still hard.
Rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't care chant sounds like that. That hurt me to hear. You know, when I think about forming an alliance with somebody, it's really, I think it's about creating an environment that's psychologically safe, where we can be honest with each other. So that means that even if we're talking about something pleasant, it's all good. But if we start talking about something that's a little bit unpleasant, you already know I care about you. You didn't really have an opportunity to build that space with him. You know, kind of think of it like when you work with learners and you work at the learning climate. The reason you work at the learning climate, so that if I give you feedback or anything corrective, or I try to help with something, or I tell you something positive, you believe me. You believe it's safe for you to respond to it. You know, on one end, it's incredibly unfortunate what happened with your patient, and how, you know, things shifted, and he could probably feel when it shifted over from oh, you're nearing the end of life, and if you die in pain, we failed you, so here's all the pain meds, to like, whoa, wait a minute, you're going to live, and you cannot have all these pain meds, and, we have to cover ourselves here. So I feel for him on that. That being said, I deserve an explanation as to why when I dropped your urine, there wasn't no opiates in it. We got to talk about that. So we have to have created enough of a connection where I can sit down with you and be like, okay, so you kind of, I don't want you to be miserable. I don't want you to be in pain. I want to tell you what's kind of got me troubled a little bit, and open up the electronic medical record right in front of you, show you your urine, and like, so thank you so much for giving me the urine. We got the results back, and this is what I'm looking at, and one of the things I see in your urine is this, but specifically what's not in your urine is what I'm prescribing you.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of an explanation that I can be comfortable with that lines up with what we agreed to.
Yes.
And give you a space to tell me. Now, you can do a few things. You can be like, Doc, you only gave me 14 days. I ran out, and I was in the jam, and I felt bad, and, I couldn't get in here to see you. So, you know what? I just did what I had to do. And so I was just trying to not feel miserable. And, yeah, I did. I hit some crack. Okay, maybe that's what you did. Or I smoked some weed. Maybe that's what you did. Or you say, you lie. You say that's not true. That's some BS. No, that's not my urine, and this, that, and the other. At which point I can say, all I have to go by is, this is the urine that you gave me. And this is the urine. The way we set up testing the urine is that we have a way to make sure that it doesn't get mixed up with anybody else's. This is what you gave me. Unfortunately, it puts me in a place where my hands are tied. I want us to talk about how we can move through this, because I imagine for people who break pain contracts, at least for us at Grady, there is a path to redemption at some point. And let's talk about what that looks like. But let me make sure you feel safe enough. Maybe you didn't have nothing to eat. And you're like, you know what, I ain't gonna even lie, I didn't have nothing to eat, and I did, sell 5 of my pills because I needed to get some food. At which point, okay, still let us work through, like, let me tell you about how that's like absolutely not okay. And I also don't want to create a situation where you start gaming the system, because a lot of people who do divert their medicines, they're savvy. So I would rather us pour into the relationship such that you feel like you can be honest with me. So I get that you felt bad, but there is some accountability that the patient must have for the results. And I'm sure y'all had a discussion about it, and it just didn't make it into the story. But, I feel bad that you feel like we don't care. I also feel bad that whatever is going on with you, because I imagine when you were 5 years old, you didn't hope and pray that someday you could be sitting across from me in a VA clinic figuring out ways to divert your pain meds. Like, I doubt that's what you wanted to do with your life. So whatever this is, it's a failure somewhere. And it may not be my personal failure, but I am a part of a system that has failed you and landed you here. And perhaps maybe if I tell you that, you might feel safer. And you may not feel safer in the moment. Now, COVID taught me this, that people would be really mad, and if you just stay and weather the storm and show them that you care and not leave, eventually they will come back. So you saying you don't care, the only thing I will say to that is to counter it in your head. Like, I know I do. And it sounds like you did. I know I do. I know I do care. Is that true? Yes or no? Because sometimes somebody say you don't care, and you were hungry, you were tired, you were biased, this was going on, and you did not care enough. And you need to check yourself. But if you look me in my face and you say, you don't give a F about patients here at Grady, you don't care about me, I know that's not true. And I'm sorry you feel that way, and I'm not going to even argue with you about it. I'm going to talk to myself. And talk myself down from my feelings being hurt. And see what happens. Let you see what it happens when somebody doesn't run away from you when you do something like this, because that's what you're used to.
Yeah.
You're used to running everybody off.
Exactly.
And this time it's not going to work.
Yeah. It reminds me of this saying, or at least something that I'm going to mess up, but it's something to the effect of, it's hard to have rules without relationship. And so, here I am kind of with all these rules, and, but we don't have the relationship to where that, I'm still here.
Right.
I'm still here for you.
Right.
And, and I can imagine, especially the way our health system is, where you just kind of get moved around to a different doctor.
Right.
And, and I think that is what had been happening.
Right.
You get one person initially, like, prescribing the meds, and someone else comes, and you're just like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
And then now you get sent to me.
Right. There's another piece of this that is something that we have to be honest about. Those of us who choose to care for vulnerable populations. I wanted to work at Grady. You wanted to work at the VA. And so I care about you in general because you are a patient at Grady, and I care about this population, and I care about you, right? But as the patient, the you is something else. Like, it's not the generic you of what it means to be a patient in this vulnerable hospital. I care about you. Versus, do you care about me? Do you care about me? The shit I'm going through right now. Do you know who I am? And what happens a lot of times when we get to have repeated contact with people, whether it's on the inpatient side or the outpatient side, there's a place it crosses into from the thing that got me here, which is I care about you, the idea of you, right? Versus I care about you. I care about you. So remotely, you told a story years ago about the patient that you did house calls on. You cared about the patient. That was an individual thing. It wasn't the idea of me. It was me.
Yeah.
And that patient, he didn't get enough time with you for it to move from the global you to the actual you.
Yeah.
And when you think nobody cares about actual you might break rules, you might do all kinds of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the minute it's like when you were in school, right? It's like kids in school. Like the minute you know that there's a teacher that gives a shit about actual you and not the idea of like, I care about black kids succeeding in this public school.
Yes.
Versus, no, I care about you, this child right here, excelling. And that's why our job when we build a therapeutic alliance with people and we, build relationships, and when we teach residents about interpersonal skills, you have got to learn how to make sure the patient moves to a space where they actually think you care about individual them. And some days we're good at it.
Yes.
And some days we do not have the capacity to do it. So we lean into the generic you and do the things. But at some point when somebody's really struggling, like people in these situations, they gotta have somebody show up and be like,
yes,
I'm here for you. Why? Like you at your zip code or lack thereof. You, not just the idea.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you. I can show you better than I can tell you. And sometimes just staying and steeling yourself, even through what's probably a little bit abusive, is the only way to do it. And everybody ain't built for it.
Yep. Exactly.
Everybody ain't built. Everybody ain't built for it.
No. But
yeah.
This is also what I appreciate about working within a team. Also, sometimes it's not going to be me, but these social workers,
baby,
or
baby,
our mental health team.
Baby.
It can't always be us.
It's got to be an alley-oop. It's got to be an alley-oop.
Yeah.
Well, wherever that patient is, I hope that eventually they got somewhere where they felt safe.
Me too.
And I hope you know that that wasn't true.
Yes. It took a minute, but I got there.
Well, you was a neophyte.
Exactly. I was like, dang, I just started.
I just got here. I just passed my board. I do care. Yeah. People will cut you to the white meat. They will. But, like Maya said, and still I rise.
Still here.
Yep, still here. All right, sis. Well, I have enjoyed having you here, Grady. We are now going to go and have us a little stroll up to the historic Sweet Auburn Market near Grady Hospital. A little more history, and also some vittles and some soul food. And I love you.
I love you too, and I'm so excited that I still get to hang out with you afterwards.
Correct.
So,
but I have clinic at 1:30, so we can't hang out that long. All right, y'all. Holla.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!